Hello and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we discuss issues related to women. It can be health issues, it can be just normal workplace issues, domestic violence, even fashion issues. I mean, who says size zero is normal? Diet. I mean, we try and bring everything on the table over here, discuss it, find solutions, and try and build a support group of sorts. But today on the show, we are going to be discussing something very interesting: hormone replacement therapy. This is for those who are menopausal. There is a solution. You don't have to suffer out all the menopausal syndromes. There is solution at hand. This is not a new something. This has been there for a while, but there hasn't been much awareness on it. There are, of course, the pros and cons also. It's not one size fits all. It's not recommended for everyone. But those who can take advantage of it, I have a panel of doctors here who will tell us how you can avail of this. Joining me on the show is Dr. Anjila Aneja. She's a senior director at Fortis LaFemme. Dr. Anuradha Vashish, she's a gynecologist and has her own clinic, Aspire Life Clinic, and Dr. Vidhi Chaudhary, who's a professor at Lady Hardinge. But Dr. Aneja, I'll begin with you because I first came to know about this thanks to you. So we are doing this show because of you. But if you can just explain to us what HRT is, who is eligible, and why there is not so much awareness.
HRT is a hormone replacement therapy which is given for the perimenopausal symptoms and also in a menopausal and postmenopausal woman. And this consists why menopause happens. Menopause happens because of the diminished egg reserve. So your hormones, estrogen and progesterone goes down, and you have symptoms because of that. Okay, so those symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, lack of desire in sex, dryness of vagina, it all happens because of the deficiency of estrogens and progesterone. So the treatment is, if you replace these hormones, patient will definitely get benefited out of it. So this is called hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah, thank you. It's really very nicely and simply explained. But if there is an answer, then why are so many women suffering menopause?
You know what happened? Whenever you prescribe a hormone, whether it's a young girl for some other reason, or even for a contraception or a hormone replacement therapy, first is like, नहीं नहीं हम तो हार्मोन नहीं लेंगे, इससे तो कैंसर हो जाएगा. This is a myth which is continuing from grandmother, great grandmother's time. कि hormone लेना is not a good thing, it can cause cancer. First is a cancer thing which comes in. And then we were prescribing a lot of cancers. When I came back from UK in 1998, we were prescribing so many hormone replacement therapies. And then one study came in. This is by his studies and her study, and then her study. And that was a study which showed that the women, they are more at risk of getting a breast cancer and the stroke. Okay.
Those women who take the replacement therapy.
Yeah. But then so much of hue and cry happened because of that. And everything, whatever was done, went down the hill. And then one goes back and looked into the study. There are many false things were there. Those were the women who got the breast cancer or who got stroke. They were more than 60 years of the age, and then they were more than 10 years of the age. So a lot of work has done in hormone replacement therapy since then. And now what are the guidelines? Even the Indian guidelines all over the world have come out. If a woman is less than 60 years and less than 10 years of the menopause, and after seeing a doctor, they can take hormone replacement therapy to improve their quality of life.
So, Dr. Anuradha, do you also have a lot of patients, and what have your experience been with HRT?
So, in my experience, I've seen that number of patients who are coming now for taking, awareness on perimenopause and menopause has dramatically increased. The reason being, first of all, the life expectancy has increased and people are now aware and they want to have a fit life.
Yeah.
So whenever they enter into a perimenopause stage, let's say around the age of 45, and they start experiencing such symptoms like irregular periods and vasomotor symptoms like, the hot flushes, they are unable to, have their normal working, because a lot of people now in Delhi are already in the working this thing. So naturally their work gets hampered and they have to take leaves and all those things. So early they start coming to the clinics and they want to really have a solution for this vasomotor symptoms, and of course also for the problems related to urogenital system, like for example dryness of vagina and loss of interest in sexual activity, as well as all the urogenital symptoms. And of course one very important aspect is weight gain. So
yes,
for
yes.
that, a lot of people are coming. And as we all understand, the main culprit is the loss of estrogen. And as Madam has said that, we at perimenopause only, the earlier the better, we should start, either a low dose OCPs, or if they've already attained menopause.
What
So
is
when do you call
OCPs?
them? Right, sorry.
OCPs क्या होता है?
OCPs, oral contraceptive pills, उसमें low dose आती हैं,
अच्छा.
which can be given safely. And if suppose you have already entered into menopause, so when do you call them entered into a menopause means when 12 months consecutively they do not see their periods,
Correct,
then we
huh.
say that, okay, now you've entered into menopause and you are menopaused. So after that period is known as post-menopause.
Got it, huh.
And as Madam said, that earlier the better you start with this HRT or low dose of this thing, because this is going to also prevent long-term complications like the bone health, the cardiovascular health. So in my clinic, I see now lot number of patients coming and they also want to have a treatment. So like individually, we have to see, looking into their history, their types of symptoms, that what prescription should be given to them.
And if
And every, like after 1 month, you call them to see, okay, they're doing well, then every 3 months, then after a year or so. But yes, it should not be given for a very long time and it has to be individualized.
Okay. Dr. Vidhi, what is your experience and your feedback on this?
No, so my experience, like we have, because I cater to a public health hospital, so we do have a lot of patients coming. And now, as ma'am has said, a lot of studies have been done and HRT has been rendered safe. We also now very small, very minimal dose of estrogens are available. So what we do is, if a patient has not been hysterectomized, because these are the women who are postmenopausal due to some reason, they may have had their uterus removed. Even those women can have estrogens. So there we give them very low dose estrogens, and if the patient is having a uterus, then we also supplement them with the progesterones for some time. And the best estrogens, because oral may still have something, but there are transdermal estrogens. These are patches. So
Okay.
the patches are absolutely safe. Even the ones who have got stroke, if you see, they have been stroke free or for 5 years or so. So in that also, the transdermal causes very minimal, the blood levels which are attained, they are very minimal. So very safe, and they all are available in India. Initially, we used to have 0.6 milligram, which was used to be considered a very high dose. Now you have as low as 0.3, 0.1 also. So, and the thing is, it should be started by a registered OB-GYN who has a fair experience in HRT, and HRT is quite safe. The women should come to the doctor, whosoever she is visiting, and she should take a proper treatment. She should get her baselines done, that is lipid profile, baseline blood sugars. So, a doctor can assess and then can start the HRT, and it can be given, and every 3 months, initially she has to come every 3 months for the first 3 months, and then if she's fine, then 6 monthly, and then yearly. And you have to tell the patient any new onset of symptoms, whatever is there, any new onset of symptoms. Suppose she has got a headache, which was not there before, any sleep, then she should immediately report, because that is the time when a doctor can actually see what is, if these are effects due to the drug,
negative effects.
and these are the negative effects, and she can intervene. And not only estrogens and progesterones, apart from that, you have other drugs as well. It's not that only estrogens and progesterones are there. We can give other drugs which are absolutely safe. There are local estrogens can be put for the
What she's saying is absolutely correct. Initially, we used to have synthetic
yeah,
estrogens.
synthetic also.
Now we have more natural estrogens, and plus we have progesterone is basically a culprit for your stroke or for breast diseases. But now we have very nice progestrogens available.
The natural ones.
So good ones, good estrogen, good progesterone in a woman who has a uterus. Who doesn't have a uterus goes, as Dr. Vidhi said,
You just
an
have to give
estrogen.
estrogens, and that to give a transdermal.
Yeah, and
You
the
don't have to give
chances
oral.
of getting stroke and the chances of getting breast cancer with nowadays availability
it's-
of hormone replacement therapies, if a woman takes for less than 5 years, is highly unlikely.
So what is the period a woman should ideally take it for, the therapy?
At least can take it easily for 5 years, but
5
you
years.
need to individualize the treatment. And even after 5 years, they want to take it. They should understand what they are doing. They need to understand they should come for a regular checkups, and they still can take it. If you go by British guidelines, this is why not. But second thing, like Vidhi has rightly said, I will say here, if you go, you just say, do women needs any test before taking an HRT? Ideally, none. Only your symptoms tells you to take hormone replacement therapy. But in our country, where we know we don't get a woman for a regular follow-up, we take this time, we take this opportunity to look into it, talk to them about their lifestyle modification, tell them to take calcium and vitamin D3, do their pap smears, do their ultrasounds, get a mammogram done for them. And so that they understand the health benefits, of themselves with or without HRT.
In fact, one of the benefits I think a lot of women are interested in is the losing weight part. You always go for the external rather than.
Now, what happened is the woman has a pear-shaped body.
Yeah.
So, minimum of 8 kgs you gain when you are entering towards menopause. Actually, menopause, an average Indian woman gets at 48. So, your symptoms start 4 to 5 years before that. So, you start basically gaining weight at that time, and this is mostly central obesity. So, pear shape becomes apple shape.
Correct.
So, this is a time that you need to do at least 30 to 40 minutes of exercise. And now they are saying daily. Initially it used to be 4 to 5 times a week, and add 2 days weight training. So you need to do a resistance training, you need to do a weight training, you have to look at your posture, you have to look for your balance and the flexibility. What you do at 40, 45 will take care of you at 70 and 80. Even the dance classes, there's one Chinese, some dance, which is very interesting dance for a good balancing, So this takes care of even your bone health. And in the meantime, people are so scared of, we will get breast cancer, we will get this. But nobody understands with the obesity, smoking, and this environmental pollution. So, your risk of breast cancer is anyway higher by 8 times,
Okay.
And you are worried about hormone replacement therapy, which increases the breast
Risk of
cancer
cancer.
very minimal,
So, Dr. Anuradha, who are the people you will not give HRT to?
So I think history taking is extremely, extremely important, and where they're already giving this history of, let's say, a breast cancer in mother, or maybe her own history of, let's say, womb cancer or something else. There we have to be little, precautious. Then we also have to look into the history of, let's say, a stroke, or somebody already having high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes. I will say type 2 diabetes is not a contraindication for an HRT, but yes, you have to be a little precautious of the fact, and maybe more careful and watchful on the fact that you have to call them, a little bit more early to see and have their baseline test done, and then, advise them this HRT. See, for HRT, the most important thing is follow-up. It's very important that you simply can't, let's say somebody is having a sequential where every month she's having a bleeding, and let's say she developed this symptom of post-coital bleeding, where she doesn't come and tell you. So this can be sometimes alarming. So the one who's prescribing this medication should actually write down every specific point to them, that these are the points where you have to be very careful. And whenever you see any untoward kind of a symptom which is other than a normal, you should definitely come and report back and see and reevaluate.
Okay.
What she has said is absolutely right, but I will add on there, the family history is not completely contraindicated. If a woman is suffering, you can help her out, but she should understand. And nowadays, even the genetic testing is available. You can do BRCA1, BRCA2 to look into it, whether they are actually the risk or not. And the whole idea here is to help a woman out with her quality of life. Women are very open to talk about their sexual life and what the trouble is happening with their partner or the husband. We have to help each other out. Even if a woman who is having a breast cancer and if she's having a difficulty in having sex or painful sex, then you can talk to the oncologist, and under supervision even you can give her local hormone therapy, and under
Yes.
supervision you can
Type
work
of
out and help her out.
therapy can be
Okay.
changed.
So now the
yes.
advancement has come so much studies have been there that we should be able to help them out. We have seen patients who have, they say, I have a suicidal tendencies, they have so much of mood swings, it has affected their work, they are not able to concentrate, their boss is troubling them, the husband is not happy because of the lack of sex drive. And why a woman should suffer, I feel very strongly about it.
Yeah, why should
See,
a
for
woman
the as ma'am has said, for active cancers, we may give her some time, but as soon as she's through with the treatment, which is 6 months post treatment, it can be started. And mind, it is not only the estrogens. You have non-hormonal lubricants are there. Then even for the mood swings, you have non-hormonal medicines like SSRIs, which are serotonin reuptake inhibitors. So that can be given. So the whole there is whole armamentarium of the replacement therapy, which is non-hormonal also, and there are certain lifestyle modifications, certain foods also, which can help a woman. And as ma'am has said, the physical activity is very important. A daily physical activity, exposure to the sunlight, and relax and taking part in a relaxing activities, that also relaxes the women. Plus the HRT, only then the whole thing works. If you will just give an HRT, if a woman takes an HRT and forgets rest of the things,
That's
then it
not
will not
correct.
help.
That's also.
Yeah.
So it's
So
a
she
holistic-
has to combine.
right.
She has to combine the lifestyle modification, her diet, along with the HRT, and she should be aware what are the symptoms which are new symptoms or something which is troubling. She should have this thing. She should go to the doctor. Most of our women, at the times they feel good and they forget.
And the poor girl,
I'm
they
gonna-
keep on searching web about
Haan,
it.
web
But
about
you
it,
have rightly
yeah.
said such a good lubricants are available.
Lubricants are also available,
and,
which are non-hormonal. So, but they should know what to buy and what not to buy, what to seek, what not to seek. That is very
good
important.
note to take a break on. I'm going to come back and try and answer some of these questions, but after a very quick break. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. We are here discussing hormone replacement therapy, but also, other options, as Dr. Vidhi said, for menopausal women to make the menopause transition easier, to make, one is, of course, the mental counseling, also is the stress. You talked about lubricants for, painful intercourse. Other stuff that you can recommend. For instance, a lot of women have weak bones. So, uske liye, apart from HRT, is there anything else you would say?
Yeah, definitely. One I have already spoken about it is your exercises.
Huh.
Weight training, resistance training, these works. Plus, what you are talking about is a bone health. Is like why the postmenopausal women are at risk of osteoporosis. Osteoporosis means osteo is bone, porous means porous bones. So they are easy breakable without any fall or anything. So that risks a woman's life, And to prevent that, what we have already done is that one is a hormone replacement therapy. But on the other hand, we have, once this is already established that the woman is having osteoporosis, we have very good drugs, non-hormonal drugs are also available, which will help us to rule out, to help them to improve their bone density. And there is a DEXA scan. Of course, we don't recommend for everyone. A woman who is asthmatic, who's on steroids, and the very thin woman who gets a late menarche, means her period starts late, but she menopause earlier. A woman who's a cigarette smoker or who has a family history of fractures or osteoporosis, you must have seen your dadi and nani with a hunchback. So what was that? This is a collapsed vertebra. So that is a osteoporosis. So we didn't know about that. Our grandmother used to hunch, know. So that was a silent fracture in the vertebra. Okay.
Wow.
And the woman who has herself, with a little fall, you had some kind of a fracture. So these are thyroid. It's so common in our country. So these are all risk factor for osteoporosis. So there is a very good score available even for Indian population, which is called FRAX score. Your doctor calculates, this can be easily downloaded from the web, and you can calculate your risk accordingly, and you are treated according to the risk.
And this treatment can start earlier. Why should you wait for menopause if you know that?
Yeah, definitely. There is a
History
term
taking is
called,
very important, as she said. Whom you should actually send the patient.
And there is a term called premature ovarian insufficiency. These are the women who gets very irregular periods, and they are menopausal before 40. So these are the women who are actually very high risk for getting osteoporosis. So we should start hormone replacement therapy in early, not only for their bones, it's very good for their heart also.
And do you have to wait till menopause to start HRT?
No.
It can be even before menopause.
Yes.
That's also a very important point.
As ma'am said, for premature, like for example, primary ovarian insufficiency. That means somebody for some reason, some autoimmune or some reason, he started not having her periods before the age of 40 only. So naturally her estrogen levels are very low. So that is the time actually they must, go and see the gynecologist, and we must start all those, HRT, and of course for them maybe some medication which also going to take care of their bone health and cardiac health.
Yes,
one
but
is-
also are women, sorry, who
I-
have been on the pill, will they, because they have anyways been taking birth control pills and estrogen, will they have a easier menopause, or there's no such?
You can say, but the thing is, the menopause is just not the estrogen deficiency is one thing, but the most important thing which women face is the bone health. So bone health is something it should start very early, because especially Indian women, even if she's a 20-year-old or a 40-year-old, they should check their vitamin D levels, because we are really vitamin D deficient, and the calcium is important, and especially in the after 40s it becomes important. It's better to take prophylactically, and after the menopause you have to take 1 gram of calcium every day. It does only then in the foods they do not take care of the daily
Fruits and
requirement.
vegetables
needs
are
of
not
the
sufficient.
calcium.
And you remember our mothers and our parents used to make us drink milk twice a day, and we used to have curd twice a day.
Yeah.
Now I can ask anyone, how much milk is taken by your kids. Your kids
And
don't
thoda sa
Hardly,
na, ma'am,
I mean-
now the recent literature coming up is we are lactose intolerant. Though we may be taking, but it is our gut is not able to absorb the amount of calcium it needs to. So most of our population, like I to regularly take vitamin D, I've been taking it because I know okay we are deficient, no, and we don't go to the sunlight because ours is a very hot country, so there is an issue, and so most of our population are quite vitamin D. Even children, if you get their levels checked, so that should be a part of it, because we start losing, especially the Indian women, we start losing our bone very early on if we are not careful.
In simple terms,
Yeah.
it's said. Like whatever you do deposit in your bank, you will use it at the time of retirement. So this is the same. How much calcium you deposit by age of 26, you will use it when you get old. So our calcium deficiency and vitamin D
D3 is
deficiency has
really
taken
deficient.
a toll.
We are deficient.
Yeah.
I really want to, with your program, I want to emphasize, if they are every woman should get her vitamin D3 levels checked, and they should take the supplements accordingly. It's just weekly you have to take for 8 doses, and just make this exercise a routine habit. 20-minute exposure to sunlight a routine habit. No one is going to get tanned or sunburned with just
Absolutely.
15 minutes of morning sunlight.
Without
That is really
sunscreen.
important.
Without sunscreen.
Yeah,
No, now that we are hearing all kinds of things about that without sunscreen cancer hoga,
Yeah, but
yoga,
20
it
minutes early
doesn't make
morning,
any
it
difference.
doesn't make
I
any
think
difference.
20 minutes mein nahi hoga.
Nahi hoga. But what are the, I'll just bring it 1 second. What are the other supplements that you think people should have?
See, I feel that
Vitamin D, calcium,
soya is also very, very important, because in some way it will give us some phytoestrogens. So like the flax seeds, then there's a high protein diet. So what
Pulses.
happens is actually we have to calculate our protein requirement by looking into our weight. So approximately 1 gram per kg. So let's say if I am about 75 kg, so at least 75 gram in some or the other form, which is not easy to eat. But then we have to identify our diet in such a manner that try to incorporate more of eggs, and then legumes, and salmon, and all those things. And exercise, I will again and again will emphasize, is extremely important, because now the criteria for the obesity, as we all are seeing, is changing, which is also known as now as sarcopenic obesity, where people are having more of a visceral fat. That means we Indians or Asians at a lower BMI are more prone to having a metabolic disease. So basically you can say from 35 or 40 years of age only, we have to be very careful about our diet and exercise. And cardio and of course the strength training both have their important aspects. Cardio is going to help our cardiovascular system, and strength training will increase our muscle mass, because muscle mass is one place where the calories are going to be burned. So after menopause, what is happening is muscle mass is decreasing. So BMR decreases. So BMR when decreases, so naturally we start gaining weight, and that too on the waist.
Which is
So this is really, really important, that from the beginning that we should be careful about this fact.
okay. Last word, Dr. Anjeela, on for menopausal women, what by when should they start being aware that they're hitting menopause, and how many checkups? Is it once in 6 months, once in 3 months?
No, it's not, I think everybody should have yearly checkups.
Yearly
If you look into it, if you start your checkup, one as an adolescent person, you will go for, your doctor will tell you about your lifestyle, because the PCOS starts later on, and your diet and your vaccination. But similarly, if you want to go for your cervical cancer screening, you start from 30. If you get your mammograms, you start from 40, And with the meantime, there is no harm. PCOS patient and other obese patients should get their lipid and their sugars done on a yearly basis. If abnormal, they should get it rectified and do it a little more often. Okay. On the other hand, I will just I want to add on. Have you ever heard of any woman dying less than 50? No, but you must have heard men dying less than 50. Sudden cardiac arrest. Why? Because this is our hormones protect us.
Oh, wow, some good news.
Yeah, and these things increase once we go into menopause. So if we take hormone replacement therapy, our estrogen do many good things for you. They take care of your heart, they take care of your bones, they decrease your cholesterol level, improve good cholesterol, and decrease the bad cholesterol. This improves the insulin sensitivity. So your blood sugar hormone value is also better. So there are many things it does a good. I'm not propagating HRT, but I'm trying to say women should understand that it's not that bad what they think, and if it's the right drug for you, you should take it.
Because in the most of the population, you won't find the breast cancer, endometrial cancer. Not everyone is getting, and you can find out that cohort of women who are at high risk. Even then, you can start it safely. Just get good checkups, and the benefits definitely outweigh the risk.
Right.
The benefits are so many, and majority of the population are benefited by it. And we usually start first with the non-hormonal treatment, lifestyle modification, and we slowly add the HRT. And you start it with a very low dose. Anything which is a low dose, which has a non-oral route, say transdermal routes, it's quite good. It's the amount which goes into the blood enough to cause any side effects is so minimal that it won't cause any.
Okay, on that note, thank you so much all of you for coming here and talking about, at least there is an option on the table, one should explore it, and we have a panel of experts here, or go to your own doctor or gynae and try and find out if this can help you, then why not. But thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.